Hello, Music Multiverse listeners. Welcome back to another album review Saturday 2025. It's another Saturday in the music trenches, of course. We do this every Saturday, regardless of what albums we pick, what albums came out, what albums you already heard, what albums you may not have heard, whether we liked the albums, whether we didn't like the albums. This is an extension of beyondyourradio.com where the articles there are written by me, kind of a little bit more maybe in the informational pieces, links, etc. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you've been here before, well, then you know damn Deb Armitage Hicks Maloney. This is 14 straight Saturday
Oh my God.
appearances. She's an addict now. It's unbelievable. She literally decided that she could not go to Big Rec last night because she wouldn't be ready for the show.
Yeah, that's it.
Which means I'm not ready. But anyway, another story altogether, right? So here we go again. The album review Saturdays 2025 episode 14 features individuals who have a unique ability to showcase their name within the construct of fabulous musicianship, a variety of compatriots, as well as highlight a signature in their instrument delivery, which may be vocal beauty or that splash and panache of a style and genre of music, whether you might like it or not. The first one is the chameleon of the threesome this week, for sure. Not only is he an accomplished piece of one of Chicago's most celebrated bands, but when he ventures into the solo mindset, he truly exudes his uniqueness and sucks in amazing talents to follow into the unexpected sometimes. Our second is a lovely Canadian songstress with an absolute folk compassion and moniker all her own, which is changing a bit, who can stun in such simplicity as well as march right into the deepest of musical waters, bringing in her country's finest, or just retreat inward to fabulous emotional positions. Finally, we get sucked into a familiar vortex of sound under a record label and completely charismatic artist as he utilizes all resources to thrust out a Christian rock zinger. Here we go again, but not on our own, going down the only musical Saturday road we've ever known or want to know. New albums, baby, and away we go. Nels Cline is where we're going to start, and this is Concentric Quartet. Yes, he didn't spell concentric right. But you know what? It looks better that way. Kind of has a Russian vibe. Maybe it's a vodka. He's going to make concentric vodka.
Yeah.
Uniquely genius, or some other phrasing of that word, usually follows the description of the musicianship of the man named Nels Cline. If it isn't, well, then that individual unfortunately has not had the pleasure of a Wilco album, or they don't gravitate to finding out the players on an album, which is okay, damn. Or they may not have partaken of the freest of jazz guitarists probably in the entire jazz world. Nels Cline has not only completed 10 albums with Wilco and 21 solo jazz records, he has also collaborated with greats like Julian Lage and Thurston Moore, not to mention the 150 albums that he's been a part of to some serious degree. And that ranges from experimental noise rock to avant jazz, quartets, duets, acoustic, alt country rock, alternative, punk, and indie rock, which I know where that came from, but I might let Deb in on that one. But when it comes to Nels Cline, nothing speaks louder, more perfect, and uniquely genius than the jazz expressions he comes up with from anywhere and everywhere and anyone who plays within his musical sphere. And Concentric is an absolute no exception. But it is another in the fine catalog of that form that he uses of uncontrolled control. If I can define it as a novice in naming this infinite genre, that's what I'd say. I'd say it's an uncontrolled form of control. This is a full construct, improvisational and masterful bag of tricks on full audio display for me. Nels Cline can take the front seat if he wants to, and crack the whip or spring around, dazzle, or he can move to the background and do this weird modification of inventive improv noise ambience, which isn't coming from the saxophonist. I don't think it's coming from the drummer, and it's not coming from the bassist. So he's got some pedals and shit on that floor that don't generally go with jazz. So that's the kind of thing that hits in the background here. You know it's there. You know he's there, and his signature is wide. It's impressive, and one of the overall reasons he might be the quietly sought-after collaborator extraordinaire that he actually is. Concentric quartet is definitely designed to fit, but the flexibility and elasticity of it to incorporate a lot is what makes Nels Cline's jazz creation so interesting. He can be right there in a wheelhouse of a standard feeling like a jazz delivery, like Down Close on this record, and then sway outside of it with the bag here, there, and just about freaking anywhere. It's just a uniquely tuned jazz record, especially when it comes to those moments where he decides to use the guitar for a little bit more than you bargained for. But the work is extremely inventive. It's invitive and completely immersive to the listening experience from start to finish of people in the jazz world who go after. I go out there. I'll go out on that limb. I will. Nels Cline has some records that are very difficult, that are very dark, that are sometimes more noise aficionadoed than they are jazz. But that's me. How did Damn do with Nels Cline? Is this your first Nels Cline experience outside of Wilco?
Yes, and of course I didn't know he was in Wilco until we started this experiment. So you're completely right to peg me on that one, but that's fine. He has a twin brother, I guess. He plays drums. They started a band when they were young called Homogenized Goo. I love that. I think that is such a jazz name.
Yes.
It really is, isn't it? So he was self-taught on guitar at the age of 12. And I think that's an important fact with this because he said his defining moment was Jimi Hendrix Manic Depression. And that's when that's what he knew he was going to do with his life is play guitar in some way, shape, or form. But back to the self-taught part of it and what you said, in my notes, organized chaos. That's what this feels like. You said controlled, uncontrolled.
Yeah, good word.
Yeah. So it's very intricate and layered, and in spots really lovely, and other spots not so lovely. But I feel that him being self-taught keeps him from having any constraints in what he thinks music is. I just picture if he's self-taught and nobody taught him how to read music and he had to by ear figure out all these different chords and all these different measures and start to write his own songs. He's not looking at a song in the written form already that says you have to have this many beats per minute, you have per measure, you have to have, a 4/4 time, a 3/4 time. I think that kind of sums up where I feel he evolved from the time he picked up his guitar at 12 years old, and why he could be on 150 albums and why he can do things with different types of artists. So that being said, there's no denying he's a genius. This album, I liked it in parts. And I'm sure, Mark, you would know when you were listening to it, what parts that you were saying, oh, Deb's probably going like this, or getting a little anxiety. But all in all, into the third listen, I started to enjoy it a lot more. Once I knew what to expect, I think it was more that. Because when I heard that he was in Wilco, I did not expect some of the off-reaching, strange noises that were going to be on this album, but it was good.
Yeah, for me with Wilco, he is the most engaging part of Wilco to me. But most people are on to Tweety, but I like
Yeah.
Tweety. But Nels Klein is just an enigma.
Hmm.
While I have no idea of the truth of the actual consent, I would call it concentricism as it applies to the overall composition of an album of jazz, my feeling is that if it refers this thing to the idea that the music always seems to have a concentric arena to come back to. Like it can no matter where it reaches out, it still comes back to this construct. And while his constructs are a little bit more amoeba like, they're there. That goes for every instrument that takes the audio stage here of the quartet. From the bass of Question Marks, The Spot, which I thought was really a great intro, or in the 23, which is the second track, that kind of follows and allows every one of them to reach out. The saxophone, and even Nels Klein gets to do this incredibly cool jazz rock improv moment that he does during the record too, but that one just stands out a little bit more. This is just a jazz album that continues to kind of unfold, and I think that's where Deb was saying when you listen to it a third time, listen to it a fourth time. If you're listening to this on in the car, you're going to have a problem. If you
Hmm.
listen to it on your stereo and you're alone and nothing else is happening, it'll come to you. It'll take longer. If it's in your headset in your ear, it will come
Right.
a lot quicker. You'll
Yeah.
understand the intense moments a little bit better and how they fit. You'll be surprised that they fit, you know. And I don't
Mhm.
recommend going back to things like Cowards and other albums of that where he kind of goes off the rail. But this one will be standing at the mountaintop at this year's end without question. More than likely, Nels Klein continues to impress. And I don't think that will come as a surprise to the most who already know. But to those who don't, you should probably and definitely get your ear on just about anything he does. But you'll know the minute it starts whether it's the one I spoke of or not.
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
All right. On to Canada. Rose
Mhm.
Cousins, singer songwriter, has been a folk indie pop staple in Canada for since her debut in the early 2000s. Um, while internationally she may fly completely under the radar, her home country knows the value, the validity, and the musical guise that makes her not only an interesting musician in the vast multiverse of music, but also her ability to kind of swoon the listener as well as her fellow Canadian musicians who love to join her from time to time, anywhere from Tom Wilson's Junk House, Blacking the Rodeo Kings, to Kathleen Edwards, whose new cover album is out now. Not to mention, Matt Mays, who I adore, Jill Barber, and of course the great singer-songwriter Ron Sexsmith. Um, on Conditions of Love, Rose is finding her muse in the complexities of all versions and edges of that four-letter word we all seem to crave in one form or another, and that would be love. To Be Born, which is the starting overture of the record, is an unusual start. I think it's unexpected that you're expecting the vocal of Rose, which kind of is between a Katie Lang meets Nora Jones.
Mhm.
But no, you get an orchestrated piece. But once Forget Me Not, which starts the complete record at as a song.
Sweet fern and knapweed, lavender and rosemary.
You know why she did it. They allow the orchestral breeze and love for instrumentation to be a muse, a movement within her vocal, maybe, and her delivery. And this is one that it's an absolute gorgeous start. Every word is tantalizing to the ear. It's completely understood, and the emotional emotional impact is there with how it's delivered. And you can kind of like hear it, you can feel it, you can visualize it. The overall power of love. Okay, yes, Celine Dion reference. Rose is centering most of the album around the beauty of the piano. Wait a minute, that's not where she started. I just remember her with a guitar and this folk, and yeah, she's kind of augmented into the next Jan Arden of Canada. Is that a problem? I don't think so. I think it's wonderful. I mean, Jan Arden can't carry the torch forever. I mean, Sarah McLachlan bowed out years ago, apparently. So she is certainly finding a completely comfortability in this process. I think her accompaniments are now more engaging. It's helping in the wording, the phrasing, the lyrical delivery has always been tremendously underrated, and now I don't think it is. The conceptual piano playing, the synth, and additional production that she chooses to squeeze it all in tight. I think it's great. Her at the piano is now the true vessel, which is weird to me. But hey, I mean, there's probably other artists I could name that stepped away into other instruments that maybe serve them better. Just consider this, her second Juno win. All right, she's won two. Bravado in 2020. This is where this is all coming from. She was actually nominated for a Grammy in 2017 for Natural Conclusion. So Conditions of Love Volume 1 has that level and possibly that accessible record that from start to finish could be another entry into the tired U.S. framework and mindset of this genre, which is just brutal. So, Deb.
Well, yeah, she's from Canada, but she's from an elusive part of Canada. Growing up at the Canadian border, you think you know Canada, but you've got to look at how huge this country is. And she's from Prince Edward Island, and really all I know about that is mussels. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. But she cites a lot of her songwriting influences to the ocean and the natural world and what she grew up to, immersed in, right? So that was interesting. I think that we've talked about on the show when we review albums, like the flow of the album. Well, the flow of the album and album title are all beautiful. They all fit together. Conditions of Love, you start with, To Be Born, and in closing, How Is This?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So the flow, if we were doing that right now, I give it a 5.5 mark, and that would really screw up your system.
Yes, it would.
It's very layered, moody, gorgeous. It's like she's singing a painting and playing a painting. She's got really strong vocals, but she knows how to keep it subtle. You can tell that there's power there, but she uses her voice as another instrument that really complements her piano. I mean, there's no fighting against each other. It's like I said, it's gorgeous. I think that last song, the closing, How Is This? If you read the lyrics and you don't cry, you're not a human being, I don't think. How is this the last time you close your eyes? Think about that with somebody that you lost. The whole song is really, it's quiet, it's lingering, it starts to have this little hanging on notes and then chords that just fade away into nothing. And when it's done, you feel like something died, like the album maybe died, like the album is over and I need to
the album was over.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought it was really beautiful. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, there's not a solitary moment of this album that is not flawlessly executed. You may say there's a hint of sap, but she's Canadian. It's maple, baby. If there's anything the album suffers from, it might be the less engagement of the strings and overture that started this. But wait a minute. Maybe mid-listen, it feels like it's just her and the piano. However, it's there. It's just the lyrical delivery is just so poignant that your concentration is altered. Um, it's like this beguiling hold. This is one of the most beautiful put together lyrical albums of the year. It's kind of and it's driven by a cliche, which is hard. You know, write a love song. Fuck off. Come on. You know, is that a challenge? Really?
I don't know. Ask Sarah Bareilles.
Yeah, right? Write about love. Write
Mm-hmm.
about love. Now
There
therein
you
lies
go.
the rub. This is
Yeah.
another astounding achievement in her catalog, and I wouldn't be surprised if she's again at the top of the Canadian Awards nominations list for this year. You know, the Red Leaf jury comes out, they grant musical wishes. You won't have to chase her into oblivion. How did I say that? But it might be very much worth your heart and soul and a condition of love for your ear to willfully, truly appreciate. Even a dark-centered musical soul like mine, torn between wolf and man, realizes this expression and the powers of it all that is that four-letter word, love. We're gonna go. We're not going away from love. It might seem like we are, but we're not. This is Caleb Hyles, The Darkness Before the Dawn. The article is written a different way than I'm going to present this, so to speak, today. So the YouTubers, you may want to go back and read. Fear is inside everyone. All right. And Caleb Hyles makes that very poignant statement at the very, very beginning. Now, let's dismiss the musical genre. Let's dismiss the Christianity for a minute. If you don't know, let me give you a bit of Caleb. So this is a Mark Kulagowski special. This is a guy who is just doing covers on YouTube, basically. Brilliant covers. Disney-like, you know? So, wait a minute. Got following. All of a sudden, now he's joined up with two guys from Judge and Jury Records. Those two guys are responsible for My Chemical Romance, Theory of a Dead Man, what's Skillet, and then you combine these other individuals. So, Fear, anthemic.
Yes.
Yes, anthemic.
Yeah, that's better.
Anthemic is a cliche, sure. You got to be in the right place to accept it, and even when it's done in this kind of way, it kind of people will shut it off because of the words I said. I said, if I said to you, emo rock or post rock, or if I mentioned those bands, My Chemical Romance, Theory of a Dead Man, 1,000 Foot Crutch, these other artists, right? People are fearful. They're fearful of two things: fearful of commercialized, produced music, and then they're fearful of Christianity or a better message. Well, hang on. Do you like Christian rock? You like Christian alternative, Christian country? Why does it matter? Should it matter? Let's take my musical journey, all right? It swirls in every way possible. I take on a satanic cult rock and stoner rock band, a weed-obsessed rappers, as well as alternative bands like Mercury Rev, and probably so do you. And you're thinking, what? I do not. I would. Oh, my God. No, there ain't no God preaching to me in my music. Well, wait. I'm sure you figured that some of these bands don't exactly wear their convictions exactly on their sleeve. They don't tattoo Jesus in their musical moniker. Their cultural acceptances are not there, and their fuck the police mentality is not front and center either. Take Caleb Hyles and the bands that are artists that are enlisted on this outing. They are all, they're taking to a value of statement. They're persuading to a common love for oneself and giving up the indulgences, the overindulgences, and the tripping points of feeling like you have to be in some sort of mental illness to fit in. They're here. Not here, but here. Although both here's work. They're here to entertain and spotlight at the same time. They're not attempting to convert you. They're driving their sound, their passion, and their belief into something much like those that of the, oh my God, I'm going to drop names now. And you're going to go, what? Imagine Dragons, Cypress Hill, Slayer. Mm-hmm. Now the other fear, the fear of emo post-rock produced genre. Why? Why are you willing to take a little bit of Papa Roach, but not indulge in Asking Alexandria? Do you love Linkin Park, but won't hit the I Prevail button unless you're hearing it in a sporting event crowd? And then they're, oh, this is awesome. Well, wait a minute. The sound, these bands have a wonderful, rich production history, and they can deliver. I assure you they can, because I've seen some of them. I also have that guilty Hoobastank all over my collection. Yeah, I think so. So do you. I have no fear, and you shouldn't either. And now that I've talked about that way, Deb, let's let you pontificate on the album itself, or however you were going to do this.
Well, okay. His two most cited influences are, not surprising, Linkin Park and Queen, and that's where the anthems come in, right?
Right.
I think that there you go, right? I found it really interesting that he does covers in a metal style of not just Disney songs, anime type shows, and Broadway. And Broadway, I think you can really tell that that's been an influence to him. The one song, Darkness Before the Dawn. I can't tell what is right from the wrong, but no matter what happens, I must carry on in the darkness before the dawn. In the darkness before the dawn. I can feel my body shaking. I can feel all of the fear. Is very theatrical. It's sweeping, and it captures you, like envelops you, right? Like you think there's other things going on in the background that I need to be trying to see over there on the left side of the stage. As far as like the fear and the Christianity, I mean, he is from Fort Worth, Texas. I'd say that's probably a heavy Baptist influence down there, but I think the reason people are afraid of it is people associate Christian feelings or lyrics that are out there as maybe it's coming from somebody that's an extremist, somebody that is, a Bible thumper, or the whole Catholic guilt thing. Are you going to make me feel guilty? What if I listen to these words? Am I going to have to reach down into my soul and go, I've got that regret, or I better call that person and say I'm sorry. So I think that it keeps people kind of stagnant in what they allow into their psyche. And if it's uncomfortable, I think you kind of push it away. I have to say, I loved this album. I'm like, who is this guy? What, a YouTuber? That's how he started? Oh man, there's a lot to come from him, I would say. This was a great album. Don't be afraid. Listen to it.
Nice. Yeah, it is the second in the in his catalog. I missed the first. I'll wind up back. Wasn't much time. Yes. The struggles of society and people, and while I feel that the presentation is more moved toward the youth adult, I do believe the themes and positions can be truthful and self-obvious to idiots like me. So in depression, anxiety, and the overwhelming fear that is definitely lingering the album. This is a wheelhouse outing with great messaging, a power behind it, right? That while it has a production quality to it, might be powered by the Great One, whomever you might think the Great One is. And yes, we have 3 additional ones. It's kind of become commonplace. So if I don't at the beginning mention what the extras are, you just assume. Assume like I do a lot. It's great. I ask out of all of you and me. So we're going to start off with Night Stalker. Return from the Point of No Return. God, I love that title. It's got a great album cover too. It's kind of it, but you know where you're at. You know your stoner here, and this is vintage Greek stoner rock. They have been doing this for quite some time, since the mid '90s in actuality.
Oh, wow.
However, I don't think they really found any footing until just recently in the 2000s because of the growth of stoner rock and obviously record labels like Heavy Psych Sounds, which gravitates to that. And I think they're from Greece. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think they are.
Yeah. So, I'll let Deb kind of go, and then I'll.
Okay, well, Uriah Heep meets Ozzy Osbourne is what I felt. I mean, my God, there were times that when I'm listening to this album but doing something else, I'm like, did this switch over to the Ozzy station? I mean, his vocals are very Ozzy-like, but in a good way. Doesn't sound, he's got his own tone to it. The title track is just rip-roaring. That song is, you cannot feel calm when you're listening to this album, but
No.
it's not like the jazz anxiety I get. It's just energy, the name of the album, but also some of the names of the songs. Shipwreck Powder Monkey. What is that?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Falling Inside had really nice acoustics, and it was unexpected for me. I just it caught me off guard, but I liked it. King Buffalo, we've reviewed them before. I got a feeling of King Buffalo here. The guitar is really powerful, but what I noticed and sometimes when that happens, you don't notice the other instruments, they get lost, they get played over the top of. But I think the one song, Uncut, the drums start out that song, and then the guitar complements it, and it kind of goes back and forth between the two, not competing at all. But it had a nice blend of intensity, but also bringing it back a little bit. So it was more pleasurable for me to listen to that type of album. For sure.
It's a good valid point of how to deliver something to somebody. Like they could be pounding and then that's it for you, right? You're out. And they don't. Yeah, this is it's so how you mentioned it, but I am, the vocal is Ozzy Blase.
Okay.
All right. There's no timbre, it's just delivered. And if I would make any thing that would, it's not going to be on my list. It's enjoyable listen, but the vocal doesn't hit the level that the band does.
That's fair.
Although
Yes.
it may not be intended to do that. So.
Okay. That's fair. That's a fair. Yep.
But yeah, Ozzy immediately. I'm like, oh, geez, yeah, not Sabbath. Ozzy.
No, Ozzy.
Right.
Exactly.
All right, we're gonna move into a strange environment. Well, not so strange, but it's different. All right, so this is Clipping, Dead Channel Sky. Now this is hip hop, experimental hip hop, California trio, I believe. They have, this is, if you're a Clipper, if you're a Clipping fan, this is not as of the past couple of records. a lot of blood-soaked craziness and experimental hip hop of a darker nature, and not anthems, but albums that have a theme to them, rather darker theme. This still does have that, but this has. Think of it. Their name is Clipping, so my assumption was that they are taking clips and making that sound. But this has got break beats, techno.
Know the scene, stiller, dream, killer, straight edges lining out a lane, silhouette is chilling with stilettos and a mean mug of something muddy, better hope it's stronger than caffeine, drink it, let him tell you.
And a rap delivery that works. There's a lot of good things going on in here. There's conceptually, it's a bit safe, I think, prior to the other two albums. But if you don't know that, you won't be offended. But I do feel the rapping and theme of the technology of the now and the future, and that sort of dystopian murk. That we all seem to think, well, we all think that the future is gonna suck. Always. Future's gonna suck. Future's gonna suck. I'm making an album about the future's gonna suck. Why? I went, you know what though? Is Mark gonna actually listen to an album that's called The Future's Gonna Be Awesome? It's bright and shiny. No. Probably not. I'm even my rainbows have goblins. Anyway. Damn, where are you with Clipping?
Well, I didn't listen to the lyrics because in the first place I had a hard time understanding the lyrics. And when I'd catch some lyrics that I just wanted to shut my ears down on anyway. So I didn't put that in part of my exercise. I did find it interesting that influences are inclusive of, not Eminem isn't surprising, but My Bloody Valentine.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe. Interesting. One word to describe Clipping is horrorcore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that would be relevant to the past, not so much this record, just so everyone's aware.
Okay. And interesting enough, they've collaborated with Nels Klein. So I picked on that. I picked up on that. But instead of me really talking about individual songs, I just have some descriptive words that gave me a feeling that, like, funky, plucky. I felt pluckiness in this album. I enjoyed the more fast-paced rapping. That intrigued me. But some of the songs were way too repetitious for me. It droning on, and that's where I would shut down. And wasn't even if there wasn't off-color lyrics, offensive lyrics to me, if there were I was not intrigued to slow down and listen to any of the lyrics. And some of it was because of the repetition that I felt in many of the songs. So it was kind of a sad face on my review.
Yeah, it does have a repetitious kind of moment. There are areas with the fast rapping that I was like, oh, well, this is okay. There's the Eminem, right?
Yeah.
And it has. I mean, I don't, the inclusivity has always been an issue with hip hop and rap.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So it's always difficult, but and I dive in and I'll do this. And I thought there was a uniqueness, but I think the uniqueness leads me to want to go back to see the horror side and that kind of thing. And that's where I kind of wanted to make mention to people that I'm not saying that this album is not in there, but it's not what that was. And I think he's an actor, the one person in this. He's been in motion pictures, so I don't know whether that kind of bleeds into the no blood intended into some of how this is presented to, you know.
Mhm.
So now we're gonna go, excuse me, to the most difficult album I've ever had to review, and I don't even know why. This is Patterson Hood, Exploding Trees and Airplane Screams. This is Patterson Hood of Drive-By Truckers.
Mhm.
I love the Drive-By Truckers. But do I love them more for the music than I do for the lyrical content?
Mhm.
I haven't heard Patterson Hood in years because this is his first solo album in 8. I couldn't even at that point say, what was the last solo album? What the hell is this? Is it explorative, like indie folk rock that is at oftentimes unknowingly overly imaginative to the fact that he's creating this token folk arena that I have no comprehension of? Don't add Waxahachie. Don't add Loveless. I don't. That didn't change anything to me. I'm sitting there going, why don't I understand? Why can't I follow? Why do I like, but I'm not all in?
Yeah.
So help me, Deb. Why was I not all in?
Raise our voice to heaven so our friends will hear. And sing a little softer just to pull them near. Life's a hard lesson, but it's always teaching. Arms ain't long enough, but I'm always reaching.
I don't know. I kind of had the same feeling, and I think that it was a little all over the place. I mean, he's talented. He started writing when he was 8 and his first band when he was 14. His dad played on soul records like for Aretha Franklin. He played on things with Wilson Pickett. I mean, his influences are Willie Nelson. His dad was in Muscle Shoals R&B,
Mm-hmm.
cites Led Zeppelin. And he cites that this album is more about his personal experiences and musical evolution. So maybe that's where we're getting lost. Maybe he isn't where he has evolved to. Maybe this album is about the different stops along his evolution. I don't know because I had different feelings from different songs. So back to the flow, don't think this album had a really good flow. So maybe that's what you were struggling with. I don't know. Also, I felt like his vocals, the jury was out on it. I couldn't tell if I liked them, if I didn't like them. It depended on the song. There was one song that had a Tom Petty feel to it. I did like when he sang a little bit more softly. Um, then there were songs that I did like, but I wouldn't have been able to say they were on the same album, like the Forks and Cypress. That was very folksy, like you said, very folksy. Pool House was catchy. Pinocchio, I was tapping my foot. I don't know. I wanted to feel good about it, but then at the end of it, I really couldn't put my finger on it if I did like it. Don't know.
Yeah, I'm MJ Lenderman was an album last year that was touted in the top albums of the year, and that kind of had the same thing on me where I first listen, I'm like, I didn't even remember Patterson Hood as the name of Drive-By Trucker. Kind of, I just went,
Okay.
here's this album cover with a knife through the head and a terrible title that I can't comprehend. So, but I played a minute of it and said, "God, it's catchy. It's got a
Yeah,
jangle opportunity. It's an indie
catchy.
rock, maybe indie alt folk.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah,
something slightly off kilter.
yeah.
It's just, this is beyond your radio, people. Yeah, we could have put on the latest record from that person that we won't mention. But yeah, I wanted to. I have this feeling that if I wasn't what I am, which is the music listener, all extravagant, I would try to give this more time and find a position. but I mean, next week we have to tackle Stephen Wilson. So I got a feeling I'm not going to have that time. So
Fair,
and
fair.
then others, and then another 5 others. Not to mention the album war of Russian
That album
Genesis,
war.
right? And also Fear or Keep It Dark. So
Yeah, you got a lot.
it's a little bit difficult, but I think there are people that will turn to this. And I think that's why there's the Waxahachie on there. That's why there's Loveless is on there and other people. And they have a unique signature that helps in I guess. I don't know, but I yeah, all over the place. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'm just like there are lyrical lines in this that are brilliant though. That I don't have them in front of me, but I'm like, wow, that was profound. That was cool. Sort of like a Rose Cousins and some of hers wonderfully put together. So I guess this one's more of a songwriter's experience, and
Okay.
and maybe the two didn't connect as well. Plus,
Got it.
when you're writing about you and your experiences, sometimes I don't have that experience, so I can't connect, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, this is a good one. What did you think of these albums? Let us know. Put your comments in there. Help me with this Patterson Hood if you can. And do not sell short the Christian rock arena, the Christian anything arena. Some well put together stuff, or the genre of that which was done. I don't write off country. I should. I don't know. Hey, like what you like, leave what you don't. Subscribe to the channel for more if you wish. We're on the web at beyondyourradio.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, of course. Hey, we're no longer at 222. We're at 223, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Articles, videos, podcasts, the podcast right around the corner. Just finishing touches. Go Beyond Your Radio with us, a real music appreciation channel. I'll see you tomorrow for Unknown Sundays 2025 with new Riders of the Purple Sage. Yes, the dude is joining me for that one. That was plenty obvious, wasn't it?
Yep.
Thanks for watching. Happy listening.
Bye.